Tuesday, July 11th, and we are just underway as Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs have decided to shut it on down. Welcome back to the Plus. It's the Damon Bruce Show. It's wonderful to have you here, and we're going to do something that we haven't done in a really, really long time. We're going to try to incorporate a little Tuesday trifecta. We'll save it for Club Plus. As a matter of fact, Club Plus today is going to be a Tuesday trifecta, so hopefully you stick around for all of that. I see the chatters are already underway, having a good chat. I love that. We got ourselves a good chat ready to go for you, and it is wonderful to have you back here. Thanks so much for stopping on by. It's not just a normal Tuesday. It's an Ohtani Tuesday. Beyond that, it is an all-star Ohtani Tuesday. Come on now. We got an all-star game happening up in Seattle tonight. It is the all-star game that officially still matters. Kinda. We'll talk about that in the Tuesday trifecta. I can promise you that. But it is the all-star game that I like the most because it's actually, it is representative of the way the sport is actually played. You don't get that in basketball. You don't get that in football. You certainly don't get that in the NHL All-Star game. But we might see, a whole bunch of runs tonight. We could see an actual pitcher's duel breakout. What I know I want to see is at least 4 at-bats from Shohei Ohtani. Oh, my goodness. We'll get into all of that on an Ohtani Tuesday in just a moment. But let's start with the news that the Spurs are indeed shutting down Victor Wembanyama. He is all done in the summer league. We're not going to see him again, and obviously that's not good news for the network ESPN that's carrying the summer league, because Victor Wembanyama's summer league debut was the second most watched summer league game of all time. That's only behind Zion Williamson's summer league debut back in 2019. So the curiosity was certainly there to watch this guy step into his NBA career. But Greg Popovich basically has stepped in and said, okay, that's enough. We're the Spurs, and the last thing we're going to do is just give it away when it doesn't even matter. And as much as it sucks for those who have bought tickets or are planning on going or wanted to see more of him, that's just the price of doing business with the San Antonio Spurs. So Greg Popovich has a brand new contract, $80 million over 5 years, which is going to make him the highest paid head coach in the history of basketball. So Greg Popovich has that going for him, along with the fact that he is indeed Greg Popovich. His pelts are on the wall. The notches are on his belt. His enshrinement in the Hall of Fame, I believe, has already happened. This guy is sitting on as much house money, literally and figuratively now, that he's been given when a lot of people thought he'd be riding off into the sunset. Greg Popovich has said, I'm not going anywhere. And because of that, this is now more than ever his show. And we all know that the Greg Popovich show is stubborn in its nature. 82 games, and the load management has begun for a 19-year-old. And as much as it stinks and I don't like it, it's probably the right thing to do. This is about to be the most amount of basketball ever played in a calendar year in Victor Wembanyama's life. There's no need to go burning some of that gas before the race even begins when there's nothing to prove for him in Summer League. Victor Wembanyama right now is and should be treated like an established NBA superstar, because he's going to be that. And you certainly don't want to undercut that journey by twisting an ankle or having a knee. You don't want anything to go wrong with your key players in games that don't matter. And this guy is already a key player, not just for the Spurs, but for the league. The interest in him is through the roof. It's too bad if you are down there at Summer League that you're not going to be able to lay eyes on him once again. The overall interest in Spurs games in Las Vegas is about to crater in terms of ticket prices, I would imagine. But there you go. What could possibly be more San Antonio Spurs than shutting down a superstar when all eyes are on TV? That's about as on brand for the Spurs as it absolutely gets. Want to thank our sponsors. First and foremost, we love our sponsors here on the Plus. We want to say thanks so much to Ike's, who is providing delicious sandwiches for anyone seeking delicious sandwiches. Get yourself to an Ike's today. No matter what your taste is, he's got something to suit that taste. Delicious sandwiches. I'm never afraid to double the meat. I'm never afraid to throw some jalapenos on that bad boy. Do it whatever way you want. Use the Ike's app to have it ordered to you conveniently this afternoon. If you are thinking, well, I don't really want a sandwich, I'm more in a burger mode. Well, that's whiskey mode. We'll get there in just a second. Burger mode means it's time to get yourself to Uncle Boy's. Uncle Boy's in the Inner Richmond, Balboa, and 4th. Phenomenal San Francisco true business run by real San Franciscans who are doing an incredible job with a great burger, delicious fries, onion rings that I recommend, and lumpia. Let me tell you more about the lumpia. Next time I never thought, what does this cheeseburger need? How about a side of lumpia? It's the truth. We all need more lumpia in our lives, and you need a little Uncle Boy's and a little lumpia in your life. Go get it today on your home. It's a great place to pick up a burger on your way home, to feed yourself, to feed the crew. Grab a burger from Uncle Boy's when you're in the Inner Richmond. And then again, as you're sitting around watching the All-Star game, maybe you're excited for Fish Tour that starts tonight. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Get yourself a bottle of Blackened. You'll be happy that you did. Delicious whiskey that suits all your whiskey needs, whether you want it neat, on the rocks, in a cocktail. It is versatile. It is delicious. It's at a price point that makes you say, I'll take 2 of those bottles, pick up 2 of those bottles today at Bevmo or any place you go and get your fine whiskey. Make sure it is a bottle of Blackened whiskey. So thanks so much to our sponsors, and thanks so much to one of our benefactors who has been almost Shohei Ohtani. We now have over 6% of our audience coming from Japan. Konnichiwa. Welcome to an all-star Ohtani Tuesday, for goodness sakes. The best player in the game has as big of a stage as he's been afforded at this point in his career, and that's because the Anaheim Angels are a bumbling, stumbling group of baseball players as you can find. I mean, historically, they've always been a little bit cursed. They've always been off the main stage. It's the Anaheim frickin' Angels. The amount of no one caring about the Anaheim Angels so dwarfs the amount of people who actually care about the Anaheim Angels that tonight a lot of people, let's face it, are going to be seeing Shohei Ohtani for the very first time this baseball season, which is a crime unto itself. The talk about the trade that Anaheim needs to make is certainly heating up. I've read about it in all kinds of places. And look, here's all you can say about Shohei Ohtani's. He's in the middle now of his 6th year with the Angels, okay? In 6 years with the Angels, you can forget about reaching the playoffs. You can forget about disappointing in the playoffs. You can't even get there. In Shohei Ohtani's 6 years now in Anaheim, this season included, the team is yet to finish above 500. This is a team with Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. That's like saying you're running out of liquid and ice in Alaska. I mean, how can you have 2 vast resources of baseball power and just squander them completely? You can't even get above 500 with Shohei Ohtani, the greatest player on the planet, and Mike Trout, who until Shohei Ohtani showed up was the other greatest player on the planet, and you can't even go above 500? That's disgraceful. So it's time for the Anaheim Angels to look themselves in the mirror and say, what are we going to do with this guy at the trade deadline? And I'll tell you, the team is telling the Angels what it should do. They've lost 9 of 10 going into the break. You know, the team needs to come to terms with the reality that it faces. They can either trade Shohei Ohtani now for the haul of the century, or they can let the best player on planet baseball walk for nothing. I don't want to hear about how Artie Moreno is losing sleep and he doesn't know how he doesn't want his name to go down with former owners of the Red Sox as being the guy who traded Babe Ruth. Well, look, so don't trade Babe Ruth for the couple $100,000 that you're going to open up an off-Broadway play with. This is not a no-Nanette for Babe Ruth situation. This could be finally revamping your entire baseball team because you're trading one of the greatest resources of all time that you cannot figure out a way to use. A smart baseball team is about to trade Shohei Ohtani. No one's about to accuse the Anaheim Angels of being a smart baseball team. So we'll see what they actually do. I mean, here's what they got. As a hitter, Shohei Ohtani leads the majors in slugging percentage. And on base plus slugging, he leads the majors in home runs, I believe, and RBI, or if he's off that RBI path, it's by 1 or 2 runs driven in. And as a pitcher, he leads an opponent batting average. Do you want Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole all rolled into one player? Because you kind of got that. And because of his blister, I believe Garrett Cole is starting for the lineup. It probably would have been Shohei Ohtani. More proof that the Angels are irrelevant, by the way. Bill Shaken of the LA Times said that Shohei Ohtani might be the headline attraction at the All-Star game, but he's not the player who sold the most jerseys this season. Most fascinating on the planet, a player on the planet, and he doesn't have the number 1 jersey sales. You want to know why? It's not because people are reluctant to rock a Japanese player's name. It's because people are reluctant to rock an Anaheim Angels jersey. No one wants one of those. No one. They're totally forgettable jerseys. And I kind of like the A and the halo. Like, it's not the worst I've ever seen, but it certainly ain't the best. Ronald Acuna Jr. has the number 1 selling baseball jersey. Shohei Ohtani is second. The fact that he isn't the first is a disgrace of the Anaheim Angels. It really is. Fernando Tatis Jr., by the way, just letting you people don't give a rip about 80-game steroid suspensions. He's got the 3rd best-selling jersey in all of baseball. There isn't a San Francisco Giant, by the way, in the top 20 of baseball jersey sales. There is a former Oakland A's player. Matt Olson is 8th, obviously the first baseman of the Atlanta Braves. So the Braves have been, they've had an incredible first half, and Acuna has had an incredible first half. The only thing wrong with Ronald Acuna's first half is that he doesn't have an ERA attached to, the games he hasn't started because he's not also a pitcher. He's not also a freak of nature, but he is kind of a freak of nature. That guy packs an awful lot of pop and power into a small frame that is swiping bases like mad. He's a hell of a player, Ronald Acuna Jr. He does deserve to have the number 1 selling jersey. And look, the Braves jersey's a better looking jersey than the Angels jersey. I said it, and I don't like the Braves. So tonight we got an all-star game. Congrats to Alex Cobb, by the way, who is the 2nd Giant All-Star to report for duty tonight in Seattle. He's had a terrific first half. He really has. While Logan Webb was struggling, while Anthony DeSclafani and Ross Stripling decided to struggle, as Sean Manaea decided to show up and hardly be a contributor in his first half, here's Alex Cobb doing an awful lot of the heavy lifting of this team starting rotation in the first half, and he deserves that all-star nod. He really does, but not nearly as much as Camilo Duvall, who was slated to be a starter by the fans. He is, when you think about it, Camilo Duvall is maybe the least appreciated natural sports resource coming out of the Bay Area right now. We don't talk about him nearly enough because here's who Camilo Duvall is. Here's what he's established. He's established himself as a premier closer in Major League Baseball. Full stop. He is tied in a 3-way tie for the most amount of saves in all of baseball. He's absolutely filthy. He's got a 1.05 whip. Got a hair in my mouth. The guy is a hell of a baseball player. He's unhittable at times when he's got that slider going and a fastball, which is like averaging 100 miles an hour. He is nasty. I saw Baggerly write, Doval's average fastball this season is clocking at 100.2 miles per hour. He's actually been clocked at throwing it 104 in a game against Arizona last season. And it's not a straight as a string four-seamer either. That's his cutter. It veers into the knuckles of right-handers. Righties are hitting .063 against that pitch this season. The cutter hasn't even been Duvall's most effective weapon. His slider dominates everybody. The league is hitting 113 off Camilo Duvall's slider. And against lefties, they're hitting 057 against his slider. So he basically has three pitches that drift into the definable realm of nearly unhittable. You know, when you're breaking down hitters to less than 10% chance to get a hit, less than 10% chance, or as best as you're going to have a 10% chance against this pitch, you got yourself a plus pitch. And Camilo's got two of them. He is good. He is special. We gave the All-Star game and its home run derby a future grade of a C+. We'll see if the All-Star game can't rise above that. I'm not sure that the home run derby did yesterday. Again, there isn't much of a difference between the National and American leagues anymore, which takes a little oomph out of the All-Star game in my book anyway. Maybe it doesn't for a generation that really doesn't care about those things. I thought that the home run derby just lacks. It lacks because it doesn't have what I would call an appreciative tempo. The whole point of the home run derby is to watch these majestic balls land somewhere in the upper deck, nearly out of the stadium, and there is such a premium on getting as many swings in as little time in as possible that it's just swing after swing after swing after swing after swing after swing after swing, and there's no time to stop and admire the handiwork of a single swing. There's no time to sit back and go, wow, look at that majestic home run. It's got a tempo problem. At least it does in my mind. I don't know. Less would be more with the home run derby, in my opinion. I also think, if we're being honest with each other, that the home run derby, more than any element or any mechanism of how you go about contesting the home run derby, I know some of you aren't going to agree with this at all. Some of you will. You know what the home run derby is really missing? Chris Berman. Say what you want about the repetitive back. It was part of the show. And it's the part of the show that the show is missing. You know, Karl Ravech is officially there being excited by nothing. Nothing. Karl Ravech isn't into it, not at all. You can just feel his rather be somewhere else energy coming out of that broadcast. I don't even know who he's sharing the dais with. I don't like the pace. Can't enjoy a single home run. And I miss Chris Berman. The same way, you know, I think that the All-Star game tonight is going to miss Joe Buck. Joe Buck's voice lended gravity to sporting events. It really did. And sporting events miss the gravity of Joe Buck when he's not there to provide it. There's something about that voice. There's something about just his presence that makes a game feel bigger. I'm not saying Joe Davis is bad at this. He's not. He's good at it. He's a good broadcaster. But he just doesn't have that gravity that Joe Buck has. Maybe I'm showing my age. I don't know. The All-Star game is at 5 o'clock tonight. We'll see what we got. Congratulations, by the way, to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who is your home run derby champion. He joins his father, Vladdy Daddy Guerrero, as the only father and son duo to ever be crowned home run derby champions. The elder Guerrero won the derby back in 2007 when he defeated Alex Rios in the final round. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. defeated Randy Arozarena 25-23 in the final round to win the home run derby. So Congrats to all involved. I'll watch tonight. But I think I also got to have the Fish Tour opener on. Fish Tour opener, man. I can't not pay attention to that, right? Fish Summer Tour starts tonight. A 23-show run beginning in Huntsville, Alabama. Fishy playing the South. Couch tour for the entire 23-show run, going off at $500 because I'm a frequent flyer, so I got a little bit of a deal. Here's the thing. If I review some of the shows here on the show, that officially becomes a write-off, which means we can't afford not to buy the entire couch tour. At least that's what I'm going to tell Jillian now that I've already done it. Honey, we can't afford to not have this. Sure. Oh, it's going to become part of the show's content. Great. Making videos to be enjoyed by 12 people. Won't be the first time. Won't be the last. Again, broadcasting isn't something I'm nearly as interested in anymore as just niche casting, narrow casting, Damon casting, plus casting, fish casting. So maybe we'll be there'll be some show reviews, some set list reviews. Again, who will this appeal to other than myself? Great question. I don't know. I really don't care. What we officially have is what is about to be one of the slowest sports weeks of the entire year. After the All-Star game, there's a reason why the ESPYs are always the Wednesday after the All-Star game. That's because nobody got shit to do. Thursday is a slow it down day. Friday, you start thinking about what baseball's second half is going to become, and then wham, bam, thank you, man, we're back into weekend series, right? Isn't that? I think that's how it works. We got games coming back up again this Friday, I believe. But it's the slowest sports week of the year, among them anyways. You know, Valentine's Day, that February All-Star break, NBA, that was always when I took my vacation when I was on the air, because that was the time to just, there's nothing to talk about. Like, football's done. We're not close enough to guys reporting for spring training yet, so that's not happening. We got no basketball going on. Conference championship basketball tournaments haven't started. That middle of February is just dreck for sports. This is the second worst time of the year for sports right now. Again, thank God I had a Victor Wembanyama shutting it down story today, so I actually knew what to choose as a lead story for today's show. I didn't even know what to do with the thumbnail. That's why I started touting the fact that we have a Tuesday Trifecta coming up in what is normally known as Club Plus, and we'll get there in just a minute. Pat Fitzgerald. I told you, as soon as you got a kinky sex element involved in your hazing, you're in an awful lot of trouble as a coach now these days, and Pat Fitzgerald is out at Northwestern. This is a guy who's been there for 17 years. It's not like they just hired some rando to coach the team. This is a guy who, even though he's coming off a terrible year, I think they were 1-10. But Northwestern, he's an alum. That's his alma mater. And look, I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. And for those of you who just want to say, no, there's no nuance to everything. It's black, it's white, it's good, it's bad. There's no in between. There's no gray area in anything. Screw all of you. You've never been around sports long enough to know how any of these locker rooms or kids in them behave. Hazing is part of the landscape of all locker rooms, and some of it, believe me, is healthy. Some of it, believe me, is team bonding and good memory, things that kids appreciate having gone through. Tradition-rich programs have their own little elements of things that could be defined as hazing that are just initiation, trials of initiation, if you will. And a lot of them are good and healthy. But the minute it turns into like over-the-clothes sexual assault, and that's probably an exaggeration, you know, being dry humped by seniors because you're loafing it in practice. Like, there's a way for you to let that roll off your back and not let it be a life-altering, scarring event. But let's be honest. And this is not a victim-blaming thing, but if you are a student at Northwestern, you probably don't have a lot of victimhood in your life. Like, you're smart enough to go to Northwestern. You're at a great academic school. You're also playing a sport, which means, you're playing football in the Big Ten. You're a football player, and you're probably really good at it, and you've been awfully successful, and we got generation loves victimhood. This is your chance now to be a victim. If this has really been going on for years and in multiple teams and handed down, and Pat Fitzgerald is basically saying, look, I've been here for all these years and this has been going on and I didn't know about it. Well, again, your problem is twofold right there. How do you know the thing that you claim to not know about has been going on for all these years if you're claiming to not knowing about it? So you got to know about it. And here's the thing, even if you don't know about it, that's not good either. You have to be in charge of every single aspect of your team when you're a college football head coach. Believe me, there's players in Alabama getting hazed, and Nick Saban knows about all of it. Okay? He knows about all of it. Now, what he'll claim to actually know, plausible deniability, I'm sure there's some wiggle room built in for Nick there too. But don't play this like, shrug emoji. I had no idea. Yeah, you did. You knew that seniors were putting on purge masks and dry humping guys loafing it in practice. You knew it. You endorsed it. You nodded when it happened. Shout out student newspapers, right? As real newspapers are losing steam in their sports room all over the country, the Northwestern Student Daily newspaper is the one that really cracked this story wide open. So here's to student journalism. Maybe the last bastion of actual journalism, one of them anyways, happening these days. Are you ready for a sip of the day? I know that I am. There's one other thing that I wanted to kind of bring up here. Before we get into Club Plus and a little Tuesday trifecta that's got an all-star flavor to it. I was reading on Barrett Sports Media, a former program director of mine who hired me to afternoon drive when I was on that radio station. He has since left the dying industry to become a consultant of the dying industry, and he basically has seminars where he tells people, hey, by the way, you're in a dying industry. Jordan Bondurant writes for Barrett Sports Media, and he is tracking what is going on with the Pac-12 network and a new media rights deal, which is still not in place. We're playing football in college in about, 6, 7, 8 Saturdays from now? Maybe not even. On Monday, Dan Patrick said that the admittance of San Diego State and SMU to the Pac-12 could be in jeopardy because of the fact there is no media deal that has been agreed to. Since USC and UCLA are bolting to join the Big Ten, the Pac-12 needs to add. How do you add schools to your conference when you don't even have a TV deal done? And Dan Patrick asked a legit question out loud. He said, why is it the Live Tour can get a TV deal done and no one watches the Live Tour? Like, you say what you want about Pac-12 football not having the interest of other conference. It's still more interesting and has a lot more interest built into its cake than the Live Tour does. The Live Tour is on TV. Now, I know it's a lot more complicated to put in a college football schedule, multiple broadcasts, multiple stadiums, multiple start times. It's a bigger road to hoe for sure. But I get what Dan Patrick is saying. How can the Live Tour find a TV partner, yet the Pac-12 network can't? It's embarrassing. I know that George Kliakov, the new commissioner of the Pac-12, was really put up against it by the former commissioner of the Pac-12, Larry Scott, who was terrible at his job. Leaving him with a bare cupboard in many different ways, including losing the two most properties that you could possibly have in Southern California, USC and UCLA. That's all Larry Scott's fault. But my God, a bad deal is better than no deal. How are you supposed to walk into a recruit's home and say, yeah, you're going to be on TV? What TV? I mean, even the CW would be a step up from nothing. Again, you're the Sun Belt Conference. if you don't have a TV deal. And I think the Sun Belt Conference has a TV deal. It's a lot more local than it is national. But what an embarrassment for the Pac-12. It's just a joke. I mean, how do you lose a presence in Southern California if you don't go adding San Diego State? It's just an unbelievably ridiculous course of action set upon by a commissioner who ruined everything and a new commissioner who doesn't quite know how to fix anything. It's rough out there. If you're a Pac-12 alum, you got to be embarrassed. You got to seriously be embarrassed by the inability of an entire conference to put itself back on a map. That's unbelievable. And like I told you, we are never going to waste your time, but we are going to have a Tuesday trifecta. We're going to do it in Club Plus, which means if you were listening on the podcast, you're about to miss a Tuesday trifecta. I'll tell you what it is, and I want everyone to start thinking about it right now. Our trifecta topic this Tuesday is the stars are out. Question number 1, what is your go-to All-Star game memory? Question number 2, why doesn't the All-Star game hold the magic that it used to? And who makes the NBA All-Star game first? Jordan Poole, or you get any other Warrior not named Stephen Curry? Curry's off the board, so who would you pick? The field for the Warriors or Jordan Poole? Can't have Curry to reach an NBA All-Star game first. The Tuesday trifecta, I want you all hitting that on the chat right now. We're about to get into it. I'm about to scroll down and pick up right where we left off and work backwards throughout the show today. So the Tuesday trifecta is officially about to start. The stars are out is our subject. What is your favorite All-Star game memory? Why doesn't the All-Star game hold the magic that it used to? Or maybe you think it does. And who will make the NBA All-Star game first? Jordan Poole or any other Warriors player not named Steph Curry? That's what we're about to do in Club Plus. If you're listening today on the podcast, I say thank you oh so much for doing so. And please do remember that sports don't build character, they reveal it. And like that, he's gone. Sexy. All right. Ayo, 2x4. Let's see how the chat is handling a little Tuesday trifecta. Let's see how the chat is handling a Tuesday trifecta. We haven't done one of these in a very, very long time. As a matter of fact, I don't know if we've done any of these here on the Plus. Let's start. We'll just take them as they come, working from the bottom, going to the top. This is Roddy Richards. Roddy Richards says Jordan Poole's going to make an All-Star game first because his stats will be gassed up by being the number 1 option on the Wizards. And look at Roddy is watching us over on Twitch. Thank you, Roddy. You're the one. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. Look, Jordan Poole is going to get an awful lot of gassed up stats for sure, but he's also got the talent to do it. By the way, Michael saying, trifecta, member berries. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Eric Johnson dropping Ichiro, hitting an inside the park homer. Yeah, he did that in San Francisco. I certainly remember that one too. What do we got here from Nick J? He says, first question. That All-Star game where Torrey Hunter and Barry Bonds had their interaction. Yeah, Torrey Hunter robbed Barry Bonds of a home run. Bonds picked him up, gave him a big hug. I do remember that. The All-Star game magic is, well, there's just too much other stuff to watch and stream on TV. That's why it doesn't have the magic that it used to. I think that that's part of it. There's an awful lot of noise out there. There's an awful lot of distracting things that pull us away from sporting events we used to hold sacred. I think that that's part of that, Nick, for sure. Wiggins and Poole both make the All-Star team next season. I tell you, if Andrew Wiggins is back on the All-Star team next season, the Warriors have had a pretty good first half. So I'd like to hope that you're right about that. AJ Strong weighing in on the second question of the trifecta, saying All-Star games are meaningless. To think that's why I had interest has been demised. When you say they have no meaning, what do you mean, to the players, or that they're not deciding home field advantage of the World Series anymore? I mean, I think it still means something to the league and the players, not as much nearly as it used to. But, you know, it's hard to attach, to me, the one of the reasons why the All-Star game, maybe more than any other reason, has lost a bit of its magic, is because the All-Star game used to provide us with moments that were unavailable, an unavailable moment. You know, you wanted to see Shohei Ohtani hit against the best pitchers in the National League. Well, he does that throughout the entirety of the regular season with so much interleague play that there's nothing special or nothing rare about these All-Star game matchups. Like they used to be rare, where it was essentially, unless these two teams meet in the World Series, you're never going to see this unless it's an All-Star game. And I think that diminishes it a little bit. Ernie Chavez. Ernie saying Poole's going to be an All-Star next season. Book it. Well, how are you going to feel about trading away an All-Star? Probably getting 25 a night. It's going to be tough. I mean, you're going to miss Jordan Poole when he's gone. And I love the fact that Jordan Poole has not been a rat. He hasn't said a single thing about what he didn't like about his time with the Golden State Warriors. I respect that. I really do. Let's see. Rockin' New Era 84 says the whole home field advantage thing in Major League Baseball made it lame for me. Look, that was lame, but it's not part of it anymore. So it shouldn't affect you anymore. We got Otis Bird III, our fearless chat room leader, always saying probably the 2007 All-Star game at Oracle Park, Ichiro hitting the triple at Triples Alley that he turned into an inside-the-park home run. He was flying. By the way, Alfonso Alvarez, Ted Williams at Fenway is among my most favorite All-Star game memories as well. You had an incredible All-Star game at Fenway where Tony Gwynn led all these players around Ted Williams, who had thrown out the first pitch, and Ted wasn't exactly bouncing around the field. He had to be brought out there in a golf cart, and to have all those players come around Ted Williams and just show a sign of respect was like, gave you lumps in the throat. For Tony Gwynn to have led that movement was just awesome. And then in that All-Star game, you had Pedro Martinez at the very peak of his powers, mowing down a middle of the steroid era, right-handed heavy, looking to put a ball over the monster Murderers Row lineup. I believe it was Barry Larkin, Sammy Sosa, and Mark McGwire were his 3 up, 3 down that he retired to start that All-Star game. And I think Pedro won the MVP. I might have gotten that detail wrong, but that was special. Ted Williams at Fenway for sure. Let's see. What do we got here? Pound that like button, everybody. I feel dirty when I say that, so thanks for saying it for me, Erwin. I do appreciate that. True Blue Forever. He had a meeting, had to bounce. Dang it. We'll see you here tomorrow, True Blue. We know that you are true indeed to the trifecta. Thank you. True to the plus. All-Star game memory when A-Rod moved from shortstop to let Cal Ripken play his final season. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was cool for sure. Owen Nolan calling his shot at the San Jose Arena in the 97 NHL All-Star game. AJ Strong. All right, AJ, I'll give it to you. Thank you for working a little hockey into today's show. We appreciate that. Wait, where's my boy? Where's my guy? Where is he here? He's on the board. There he is.
Done scoring.
Yeah. Can't bring up the 97 NHL All-Star game without giving me feelings of, don't score, even though I don't think he participated. Must be trouble, says the simps are out today. Uh-oh. Simps? That's the worst. Working backwards here, talking about talking about the demise of the Pac-12. So pathetic from Bamboo Soldier. Baron Red says, look, college sports aren't important in California. See, I'm going to push back against that. They certainly aren't the only show in town element that so many small Midwestern towns have to offer in terms of drumming up, basically, just local wide interest. College sports aren't as important in California, but they're important. They're important. I don't know why. And here's the thing, even if they weren't important, they're still an important business. How the Pac-12 has let its business model so crumble right underneath its own feet is amazing to me. It's amazing to me. It's comprehensive incompetence. Comprehensive incompetence from not the current commissioner, who's not doing a great mop-up job of the mess that he's been left, but man, it is just... It's amazing how bad Larry Scott was at all of it. If you're the conference commissioner and you prioritize anything other than football and men's basketball, your eye is off the ball. And that's what Larry Scott did. Larry Scott really wanted to make the Pac-12 about women's field hockey. Like, I hate the word woke. It's the empty vessel that anyone can fill their complaints into. But Larry Scott tried to get woke with all of his women's sports matter just as much to the conference as all these men's sports and maybe even more, and I'm going to prioritize it. And that's a nice sentiment to have. But it's the most off-kilter based on reality and the economic engine that drives your entire conference. And he basically ran his engine into the ground, and now we're wondering why the car won't start. It's because while everyone was focusing on basketball and football, Larry Scott was worried about women's tennis. With all due respect to women's tennis and all the opportunity that should be afforded to women's tennis players and women hockey players, field hockey players, and soccer players, they can't sell more than 5 tickets at a time to any of their sporting events. You got sold out 100,000 seat stadiums for football games. You're going to want to go ahead and prioritize that. The way you pay for all your women's field hockey is by making sure this men's football stadium is sold out this Saturday afternoon. I mean, how do I have to explain this to a commissioner? E. Scott Burns said the Pac-12 totally swallowed the grenade with the Larry Scott disaster. It'll be swallowed up by one of the bigger conferences in a few years. I mean, look, the Pac-12 is hanging on to the thread that has Oregon and Washington dangling off of it right now, doesn't it? I mean, if Oregon and Washington were to really take their wares somewhere else, join the Big 12 or the Big 10, which is going to expand to 18 teams or whatever it is, that would be it. I mean, that would be it. What would the Pac-12 be at that point? It would be Utah, Colorado, which Deion is not going to turn around. It would be Stanford, which can't get anyone on campus to care about its success or failures. It would be Cal, which is a sleeping giant, but unfortunately it's on permanent Ambien. They can't wake up. Without Oregon or Washington, Pac-12 is going to be in an awful, awful lot of trouble. USC and UCLA leaving the Pac-12 is going to be a huge blow for the conference. They haven't even left yet, Otis, and it already is. This is very nice. Thank you, Billy Boy 49. Damon, the YouTube GOAT, 3 months in. No, we're nowhere near being GOAT status, but what we are is pretty darn good quickly at this, and I hope you can see good things coming. I cannot wait for it to be football season. Again, we're getting great traction, which I know is about to dip back into, some peaks and valleys is what it's all about. Peak interest, valleys of disinterest, because this is going to be a really slow week. I did my whole gradings, did grades and put out a series of grades. That hasn't gotten much interest, but again, these videos are just hanging out on YouTube now to be watched night after night after night, and I think a lot of these videos that aren't roaring out to great success over the next 3 nights, with people realizing there's not a lot of sports on TV, are going to go ahead and watch these, so it all grows. We're putting the content out there. Hopefully you dig it and respond to it. I really appreciate everything that you Plusers are doing to help this thing become a reality. It means an awful lot to me, to Jillian. It means an awful lot to our sponsors as you go out and support them. Thank you so very, very much. Larry's happy. Finally, the trifecta is back. I mean, it really won't be back until we can take calls. But then, oh, baby, it'll be back. And we're working on that, too. We are working on that, too. Big Mac. 8675309 says, love that we're bringing back the Tuesday trifecta. It should be a sandwich at Ike's. Hey, he's already got a menage a trois, which suggests 3. So maybe there's already there. It's already there in some ways. How about this? Gizmo says, I miss Morgana, the kissing bandit. Oh, boy, those jugs were amazing. Oh, no, wait. Those jugs almost knocked out the Blacken sign. Yeah, Morgana had some guns on her, and she let those things bounce liberally all over a baseball field. I release Morgana. Release the hounds. Thank you for my Morgana nostalgia. I have not thought of her for a while. El Camilo Dorado says, blackened is the end. Thank you very much. Otis Bird talking about the come down of the magic of a baseball all-star game. He says, Damon, not sure maybe you said it, but it's because of interleague play and teams playing every other team. The NL-AL novelty isn't there anymore. Exactly, Otis. That's a huge part of it. The all-star game used to offer unique things that you were only going to see there or in a World Series. Now, you couldn't choose who gets to go to a World Series every year, but fans can choose who gets to go to an all-star game. And by the way, you know who also has a big, big hand in choosing who goes to all-star games, apparently? Bruce Bochy. Bruce Bochy shows up in Texas, and they got, 4 guys starting the game tonight? 3 guys, rookies, veterans alike. You got the first-place Rangers. There is no coincidence that you have a first-place Ranger team, a whole bunch of guys reaching their career potential, and Bruce Bochy being in that dugout. That's not a coincidence. It's not. I miss Boch. The Texas Rangers got to be thrilled that he is their manager. Look at the success that they're having. Michael getting in all 3 answers here, saying Torrey Hunter robbing Barry Bonds of his home run. The all-star nostalgic feel is gone because there's just way too much going on. There's so many other events other than the home run derby to even watch. I think it's some of it spreading itself a little too thin. The fact that we get so much baseball, it's not the same world where the All-Star game was one of the few national games that you'd be able to get to watch in any given year. It was like that when I was a kid. Obviously, everything's changed right there. Gizmo, Atlee Hammaker, giving up a grand slam in 83. I was so pissed as a Giants fan. We got Michael saying, Jordan Poole makes the All-Star game next year. He's got something to prove big time. He is. He's got a green light, and he's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder. Big Mac says, hey, give me Give me the World Baseball Classic over the All-Star Game any day. Remember how great the end of that World Baseball Classic was, where it was basically Ohtani pitching against Mike Trout for all the marbles in a game? That was incredible. That was great drama. I don't think we're going to get a moment of actual drama that can trump that in this All-Star Game. And look, people tried to sell you the World Baseball Classic mattering. You can't sell something mattering. It has to matter organically. That became something that mattered organically, and you could feel it. It was visceral. You could feel it. It didn't matter because an underwriting company told you that it mattered. It mattered because it mattered to you. It mattered organically and naturally. We'll see if that doesn't come up tonight. Again, I want to downplay how important these All-Star games are, but something magical could happen tonight, and that's why we're going to be watching. That's why I watch fish shows, because you're not guaranteed any magic, but a couple times on this tour, something freaking magical is going to happen. And you want to be watching when it happens. Boy, there's a lot of love coming in for Jordan Poole. He's going to put up the numbers to make that All-Star game first. Nathaniel Richards. Thank you, Nathaniel. Oh, we have a correction now of AJ here. Thank you very much, AJ.
Done scoring.
He says his favorite All-Star game memory was Owen Nolan calling his own shot against Dominic Hasek at the San Jose Arena back in the 97 NHL All-Star game. NHL 97 was a great version, by the way, on PlayStation. And Alfonso, thank you. I'm uncomfortable saying it. I feel dirty. But yes, indeed, smash the like button. Yosarian, love the Plus. We love you back, man. Thank you so much. Great All-Star memories. There certainly are a lot of them. 42 likes, that's it? Oh, my goodness. Shame on you guys. Hit that like button. My God, no wonder why the algorithm isn't happening. Ray Ratto appreciates the hockey reference, Damon. Thank you very much, Erwin. Ray appreciating something. You don't get that very often. Yeah, Jack was watching some home run derby last night. He loved the kids in the pink shirts running around just shagging fly balls in the outfield. Jack would ask, are those kids hitting the ball? No, they're catching the ball, Jack. But I'm glad that you're in and asking questions about a sport. So here's the thing. I'm not forcing sports on either of my sons, because if there were a number one way to rebel against daddy, it would be playing that I don't even like sports card. So I just put it in front of them. I'm not forcing anyone. Put a bat in Jack's hand, got a tee out the other day. He was making some nice contact off that tee. Jack might be a little hitterish. I think Ozzy is more physically predisposed to be the athlete of the two. Ozzy's nuts. I can tell that already. Jack is going to be able to talk his way out of trouble in life. Ozzy's getting arrested. That's the difference in my two children that I can tell right now. Jack will be able to talk his way out of trouble. Ozzy's going to jail. But he liked it. He liked hitting the ball off the tee. But as soon as he was like, Dad, I'm done with it. I didn't want to force him. I'm not going to force him out there to do anything he wants. But I do like when I catch him watching the sports that I'm watching. He starts asking questions. These are good things. These are really good things. Larry coming in for the Tuesday trifecta that he's happy is back. He's saying Ichiro's inside the park home run. Kuminga's going to be an all-star. Kuminga! Dude, if Jonathan Kuminga's an all-star, the Warriors are a 3 seed, okay? So I like that. The All-Star game sucks in all 4 sports, which diminishes baseball also. It's suckage by association. Here's the thing. I do believe the Pro Bowl is so bad, I don't even think they're going to play it anymore, right? That's how bad the Pro Bowl is. Nobody wants to go, and football without intensity, by definition, sucks. Basketball without defense, it's not worth watching. It's just like shoot around. It's an embarrassment. Hockey with, 12, 15 goals dialed up for sure tonight. Again, that's not a hockey game, so no one likes that. Baseball can at least give you a game that is reminiscent of how an actual game would be played. That's why the baseball all-star game still matters. Hey, Damon, Eric Johnson says, Melky had a great moment in the all-star game, then got popped for PEDs soon after. Yeah, thank you, the Fang. Yeah, Melky and the Milkman. Wasn't so authentic when you found out that CSN was planting those, NBC California, whatever it's called, planting those. By the way, you know what NBC California needs to do is unplant that Summer Sunday broadcast. That is the worst major sports broadcast in a major market in the United States. It's awful. It's unwatchable. And I don't want to bag on the kids who are hosting it, but this is what happens when you get kids hosting shit. It's just unwatchable. And I tried to be nice to it. I can't. It's bad. It's bad sports television. Michelle Haberman, welcome back from your Beer Oregon Coast vacation. Michelle says, Jordan Poole has every opportunity to be an all-star next year and certainly the talent to do it. I'd love to see an angry, pants-on-fire Poole, #pool party. I will be paying more attention to Wizards basketball than at any other season in my life. Let's be completely honest, thanks to Jordan Poole. Gizmo saying Stu Miller being blown off the mounded candlestick back in 61. Yeah, I wasn't around for that moment, but people keep on bringing it up. There's no doubt about it. Oh, this is a great moment. From Ponch 310. My favorite All-Star game memory is Piazza tipping Clemens' pitches. Oh, he absolutely was too. Roger Clemens getting rocked in Houston because Piazza's up there still pissed off about the steroid rage. That was great. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Rap Album Depot says, here's some good news for you, Damon. Your school has a dog shit football team. Oh, you don't have to tell me about that. I'll be the first one to tell you that Indiana football is the welcome mat that all major conference football wipes its cleats off on. We are the worst major program in America. That is why I am proud to announce this is my last year taking Indiana football into my heart and letting it burn a hole in my soul on Saturdays, because in 2024, I'm full on embracing the dark side that is USC football. Fight on, baby. I'm going full Trojans in the Big Ten as soon as they join. I want all the majesty, all the prestige. I want wins in Columbus and in Ann Arbor. USC, fight on, baby. My wife isn't going to like it at all, but I'm finally going to have a winning Big Ten football team when I take USC into my heart. The Shaw noticing we're approaching 7,000 subscribers soon. Yes, we are, Shaw. Here's the deal. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I want to be by 10,000 come September. I want 10,000 subscribers by football season. That's my job. That's my goal. That's your goal as well, Plousers. Spread the word. Have everyone in your office subscribe. Have everyone in your family subscribe. Have everyone in your family start watching these bad boys. Even if they're watching or not, just put it on and walk away. That's how you help the Plouse, baby. Is the Plouse chat the smartest chat on YouTube? Yeah, don't knock it. Absolutely. Larry saying, yesterday and tomorrow are the two worst days of the year. No professional sports in the United States. Yeah, it's why we get an ESPYs, and I can't even feign interest in the ESPYs. I can't. AJ Cruz said, Damon, during this upcoming sports slowdown, can we get a full UFO update from the field? Hey, if you're an alien, go ahead and hover over the All-Star game, get really, really close, and the only thing that I can promise you is if we actually have a UFO over the All-Star game, even though there will be, 35,000, 40,000 people sitting in that ballpark, not one of them will get a clear picture of it. Not one. I'm waiting for the clear picture of the UFO, as everyone in the world has an iPhone in their pocket. You'd think we'd have but one by now, right? One clear, conclusive, photographic evidence of something that isn't blurry, that isn't hard to interpret, that isn't left to my own imagination, but here it is. Here it is. We got more random pictures of people taking, pictures of celebrities at McDonald's than we do of just because everybody in McDonald's has a cell phone. Oh, there's a celebrity in here. Pop, got it. How come not one single, definitely that's a picture of a UFO picture has ever been delivered to the world? Not one. G. Martinez says Morgana's story is wild. I don't know anything about Morgana's story. I know that her bra size was wild. And she let them titties fly. She did. R.I.P. Cougar Rebel says, man, Bruce Bochy should still be managing the Giants. I agree. I agree. I think he wanted to step away. I think he wanted to step away from the baseball that they were playing, but then he obviously wanted to step back, and the Texas Rangers are crushing it. Bruce Bochy being in that dugout, it's not a coincidence. Absolutely not a coincidence. Golden State Lakota says, World Baseball Classic atmosphere is the best. Baseball needs that. If you're telling us here's the thing, what baseball needs are international audiences, which are a lot more fun at baseball games than American audiences. There's no doubt about that. I remember it was like Venezuelan night on some random night when Omar Vizquel was playing, and when Omar would just leap over the left field foul line as he was coming in and off the field. I mean, you'd have the entire section going, "Ole!" Like, it was awesome. Venezuelan baseball fans, give me as many of those as you can find. Get them in there. Get him in there, Nathaniel Richards. Thanks, Damon. Thank you, Nathaniel. Thank you. Again, Rockin' New Era at 84 saying pound that like button. Oh, indeed. Hit that like button. B. Paul, man. Dude, you're generous. Thank you very much. Favorite Fish album? That's a trick question because there is no favorite Fish album. Live concerts only. But the correct answer is Hoist. It's probably Hoist. I saw you with the ticket stub in your hand. I saw you. I'll spare you. I'll spare you the rest. Yosarian. Yosarian coming in with the jingle jangle. I mean, if there was ever a day to fill up the ganja jar, it's the day that Fish is hitting summer tour again. So thank you very, very much, Yosarian. G. Martinez saying, Damon, NHL 94 was fire. Maybe it wasn't 97. Maybe it was 94. I used to play with the Winnipeg Jets, man. Timo Solani, he was unstoppable. You had Ty Domi. Fish is more than one album? Exactly. The albums don't matter. Farmhouse is good. The Ghost is good. I still like the Ghost album. But live shows only, baby. That's where Fish is at. You need live shows. That's why they're on tour. That's why I got to be on couch tour. Again, for those of you who don't get Fish, you're not supposed to get Fish. I'm not going to jam Fish down your throat. They're the easiest band in the world to avoid. If you don't like Fish, they're never going to come looking for you. They're never going to find you. They're never going to bother you. It's not like pop music, which comes to find you and bother you. Not at all. Like, Fish is the best band in the world to not like if you don't like them, because they're never going to bother you, and you don't have to get into them, and they're not going to be on your radio. Like, you got to seek them out more than they're going to seek you out. And if you do seek them out, one of the things that you're going to find is that it's like a language. It's not even a band. And if you haven't started speaking the language by now, there are other habits that you definitely should be investing in other than a Fish habit, because at this point it gets expensive and time consuming. And unless you slowly groom and indoctrinate your wife or significant other into it, they're not going to like it at all. So, Damon, are you saying that Ozzy is a future criminal? No, I'm not saying he's a future criminal. I'm just saying he's getting arrested. A lot of people who get arrested aren't criminals. Again, you're never going to arrest me because, number one, I make good choices and I don't put myself in arrestable situations. And number two, if I were in an arrestable situation, Daddy can talk his way out of it. Jack is going to be able to talk his way out of it. Ozzy is not going to be able to talk his way out of it. That kid's going to jail. R.I.P. Cougar Rebel. Ozzy going to jail. Yeah, look. Maybe you're right here. Maybe you're right. Ozzy can talk. Jack can talk Ozzy out of jail, so maybe it'll all work out. Gizmo, maybe you're right. Daniel Shabazz, better get used to these bars, kid. Marty McFly. I love a good Back to the Future reference. Thank you very much. Drew Down saying Kuminga's not going to be an all-star this year. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to be an all-star this year either, but I'm not about to yuck someone's yum. I'm not about to take away the excitement that is Kuminga all-star because Chris Paul's just setting him up. Again, if Jonathan Kuminga becomes an all-star, what kind of year is Chris Paul having? And what kind of year are the Warriors having if they're bringing an all-star off their bench? All right, boys and girls, I'm glad that we brought a Tuesday trifecta back into the mix. This might become, if not a weekly, a semi-weekly, every other week sort of thing. This was a success. I didn't think we could just do it off of the chat, but it's worked out pretty well. Again, it's not just me. Summer Sunday. You nailed it, Damon. It's unwatchable. It's not just me. Again, I'm just going to be the person who's got the balls to say it out loud, which is going to make me the bad guy. A couple of other here. Damon, what about John Kruk? Scared in the batter's box with Randy Johnson. When he went in there in the other's batter's box with his helmet on backwards, that was great. Again, I think you'd be called for a pitch clock violation at this point. So how is it? Are we going to have a pitch clock violation at the All-Star game? I wonder. I wonder. Yeah, look, Indiana had Michael Penix too. He's now up just balling out for the Washington Huskies. He almost had a Heisman-worthy season last year. He was great. Indiana did produce Antoine Randall. You're right about that. He was a nice player. Here's the thing, though, Nick. Cam Cameron, who had a long stint in the NFL as well, was Indiana's offensive coordinator, promoted to head coach at the time, and Cam Cameron took Antoine Randall and took him out from underneath center and moved him into the slot. That's how bad Cam Cameron was at being the head coach at IU. T from the 203 saying, Song Girls, that's right, fight on. You want to talk about Morgana? The Song Girls, let's be honest, they got the best, perkiest sweater tits in all sports. Fight on, Song Girls. Fight on. Thank you, T from the 203. $10K, Damon. Then we get a Ganja Chef sesh live. Again, that's your promise. It's not mine. But sure. Yes, when we get to 10K, we will celebrate. We will officially celebrate. E. Scott Burns says, look, it'll be a completely different environment for USC. I'm excited, but not really for my Trojans. Well, here's the thing you're about to find out, and I know that I'm going to go through growing pains. It'll be just like me to jump into USC as USC is jumping into the toughest brand of football it'll ever face. You got no idea what's coming. The Big Ten is unforgiving. Wait until USC has to go play a slowing everything down all four-quarter Iowa team on an 18-degree afternoon in Iowa. Wait until you try that on for size, USC. You're going to find out you may not be as fast as you'd hoped. Yeah, football with elements. Get ready, USC. It is coming your way. Sporticus. The UFOs will be holding I hover for cancer sign at the All-Star game. By the way, I hate that stand up for cancer bullshit. Here's the thing. If you want to make a difference in the fight against cancer, stop asking all of these fans to stand up holding a token symbol and slowing down a sporting event as we all get mournful together. It sucks the energy out of the room. Write the check. That's it. The only thing that could possibly help cancer patients, cancer treatment is massive billion-dollar corporations writing $1 million checks. What are they going to give away? Some lame $100,000 donation? It's a commercial for frickin' MasterCard. It insults me. It insults you. Damon. Uncle Boys, what if the aliens have technology to distort the pictures from the HD cameras that they're taking? Have you ever thought of that? Oh, see, now you're playing three-dimensional chess on me. I wasn't even thinking about the distorting the cameras, like jamming the radar. You know what I mean? No way. I didn't even think of that. That must be it. That must be it. Look at AJ Strong. Did somebody say Timu Solani? See? Yes, I did. Larry asked, what's the best deal on Prime today? Oh, that's right. It's the Amazon Prime Day. Massive deals. I don't know, Larry, but Jillian probably has already found out, identified it, and ordered it. So I'll tell you later. The best deal on Prime today is hanging out on the Plus. You know what I mean? So all I can tell you, folks, is hit the like button. You might want to think about hitting that like button. It certainly would be a nice thing to do. Here's Otis Bird, who is a media critic here in the Bay Area. Yeah, Summer Sunday is horrible. They're trying to have it more buttoned up this year, but it's not that good at all. I feel bad for them because they're trying. Here's the thing. You're not supposed to learn how to hit the curveball in the major leagues. Take that shit down to San Jose or Sacramento and make it a minor league broadcast what it belongs to be. The reason why they're doing that is because all of those kids up there are cheap hires. I know what it's like to be replaced as an actual broadcaster by a cheap hire. I know what that's like implicitly. I can spot it when I see it. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Brian. Hey, let's all remember when the UFO landed during the fish tour at Chase Center during Carini. Actually, I think the UFO officially landed, Brian, during that antelope. That's when I think the actual spaceship landed at Chase. Michelle. So I'll never quite got how fucking hollow that shit was until my mom died of cancer. It's disgusting. I had to change the channel last year. Yeah, that stand up for cancer performative nonsense is just awful. And R.I.P. Michelle Haberman's mom. Here's a good question. Is there anyone left at ESPN to actually host the ESPYs? Sad but true. R.I.P. Cougar Rebel says, Laura Britt and Rich Aurelia not trying to work those summer months. Well, look, that's the thing. You need a weekend crew in there. The weekend crew shouldn't be two total why are they even here's and a producer who is not good at being a host. I'm not trying to bag on anyone. The people responsible for Summer Sundays at the top are the ones who should go. The poor kids who are just out there trying to, they were given an opportunity. They're trying to make the most of it. I don't blame them, but it's just awful. It's awful. I can't even imagine they're getting any kind of ratings feedback that's telling them, yeah, this is working. The only thing that works about Summer Sundays is how cheap it is to produce that. I'm sure of it. By the way, Laura Britt is fantastic at her job. She's very good. Aurelia's good. So, kids, First rule of show business is leave them wanting more. We had done so few trifectas since coming over here on the Plus. You all wanted it. You got it. You responded. That tells me you want some more. So we will get back to it. I thought it was a smashing success. Nice little fun thing to do over here on Club Plus. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. It's always good hanging out with you. Thanks so much for stopping on by today. And please do remember that you don't have to go home. You just can't stay here. Enjoy the All-Star game tonight, and we'll be talking about it tomorrow. Thanks so much.